Bienvenidos a todos. On behalf of Latinas in Tech DC Metro, it is my esteemed pleasure to welcome you to tonight's event titled Unlimited Style, Advancing Personally and Professionally Through Fashion. My name is Eliana Torres. I co-chair the communications chair for the DC chapter. I work for the USPTO as a trademark examining attorney. Latinas in Tech is a nonprofit organization with the aim to create a tech industry where Latinas are well represented throughout all levels of the ecosystem by empowering them to be innovators and leaders. Latinas in Tech is a nonprofit organization with the aim to create a tech industry where Latinas are well represented throughout all levels of the ecosystem. In case you guys didn't hear that, repeating it just in case anyone missed it. Our mission is to provide the resources, opportunities, and community that Latinas need to thrive, innovate, and lead in tech. We are a strong organization composed of 17 chapter cities, representing over 1,400 members, 23 nationalities, and involved in over 200 companies across the globe. We have chapters in Madrid, Brazil, and Denver, launching later this year. We are proud Latinas in Tech, but especially proud of the DC Metro chapter. The DC Metro chapter serves the tri-state area of Washington, DC, Virginia, and Maryland, given the unique elements of tech and government in the area. The DC Metro chapter welcomes the various flavors of the Latinx community and our allies in or around the tech industry. The DC Metro area is unlike any other place, and so many of us here understand that. Many professionals grew up here, but several moved to work or attend school as well. This is our lovely chapter for the DC Metro chapter of LIT. Jessica Martinez and Sonia Arenaza, who is missing today, but she will try to make it later, will be helping us with the Q&A later in this segment. And now it is my honor to introduce our workshop facilitator for this evening, Melissa Lorenzo-Hervé. Melissa is an attorney editor and founder of DTC dress startup Pirouette NYC, which designs and manufactures day-to-night dresses for busy women who prefer to choose well instead of often. While commuting in and out of the city with her little girl, Melissa noticed how much more time her women colleagues spent getting ready to go out after work because they needed a complete outfit change. Unlike their male counterparts who simply remove the tie or jacket before heading to a team get-together or date. Having admired her husband's English dress shirt for many years, she set out to create an elevated version of the classic shirt dress, timeless in style and movement-friendly, enough for racing from the 7th train to the office. That's when Pirouette NYC was born, with the mission to lead with quality by offering dresses that withstand the test of time and frequent wear. Melissa is originally from Miami, a mom of 2, and now splits her time between Marblehead, Massachusetts, and her beloved Manhattan. Now, Sonia and Jessica will read the Q&A questions, and they will be interacting with the panel. Jessica, I'm not sure if you could see us or hear us.
Hey, sorry about that. Yeah, I was having a little bit of difficulty trying to get myself together. Yeah, thanks so much, Eliana. Yeah, well, I'll be, like she said, just looking over, moderating the group chat and asking any questions that you ladies have or recommend. But I mean, I'm happy to kick things off, really just kind of by asking Melissa if she could, I know that Eliana gave you a really great introduction, but we'd love to hear just a little bit more about you and yourself and how this came to be. And, if there are any pieces of tips or advice that you have for working Latina professionals like us.
Should I say a bit now or save it for the presentation? Oh, can you hear me okay? Oh, I can present now? Okay.
Yeah, you can go ahead and present now. So
all right, so I'm going to share my screen and hope this works out. Give me 1 second here. Oops. Oh, sorry about this. It's going in the wrong direction. Sorry. Sorry about this. Go back. All right. Just gonna. Okay. It's not showing where to share my screen actually.
Melissa, if you go and look in the bottom of your screen again, when you move your browser, you should have that icon say shared screen.
I saw it earlier. Sorry, everyone.
Not showing?
Oh, I think I have to expand this really quick. Share screen. Yes. Okay, and then just give me a second to pull up the slideshow, and then I'm just going to switch the order here. Whoops, sorry about that. Even though I practiced. Sorry, I'm just trying to switch the order of the screen. Give me 1 second. Stop share. I think if I switch this. Sorry, I'm having a hard time doing what we did last time.
It's okay. In the meantime, if anybody has questions about our current positions or anyone about the board, please feel free to ask. We are an open book, or even if it involves fashion, and we will be trying our best to answer any questions you guys have. Or feel free to share where you guys are from or where you guys are at. I am currently in North Carolina. Jessica, I think you're in the DC area. I'm working from home from North Carolina. So in case anyone has questions, please feel free to ask.
Can you see my screen now?
Phoenix, Arizona. Hello from Phoenix.
we cannot.
Oh, wow. Canada. Laura, I see you. Canada. Okay. Florida. I like Florida. San Francisco. We have some of our board members are actually in California too. Oh, thanks for coming from Houston. This is your first event, Eunice. Hope I'm saying that right.
Eliana, maybe we can give Melissa a few moments and just introduce the rest of us who are here, part of the board.
Absolutely.
There's a few of us that are here as panelists, and then a few of us that are attending as guests. So I'll just take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Brenda Villanueva. I'm currently in Orange, California, but I was in DC for over a decade. Just recently moved out back home, and I am one of the programming co-chairs for the DC Metro chapter of Latinas in Tech, and I welcome everyone, especially my West Coast friends here.
Can you see my screen now?
Not yet, but we're getting there. I know it. I believe in you.
So I'll popcorn to Diana.
Melissa, this is Diana.
Yes.
I can share the slides for you. If it makes it easier, just tell me when to go to the next slide if it makes it easier.
Okay. Oh, I think I might have figured it out. Let me click here, share.
You're sharing something.
Yes,
see-
we see it. Yay.
See it? Okay, now I can't see it, but do you see, how do I expand this?
We
Do
see
you
your desktop.
You see just the,
See your desktop.
oh,
Yeah.
you see my desktop. Okay.
Yeah. We're one step away from
So can you,
there.
okay,
Oh, there
so,
we go.
We got it.
yes. Now I just need to switch the order so that you're not seeing the speaker notes.
It's okay.
Maybe I can close those. Give me 1 second. There is a
Thanks
way
for
to
everyone's
switch.
patience.
Yes.
You're live and it happens, you know?
Oh, and
Exactly.
it didn't happen when we were practicing. That's why it's
I
so
know,
weird.
I know.
I wonder if there's a way to get rid of the speak, and I'm seeing it on my other monitor. So that's why I wanted you to see the other monitor, not this one.
Display settings. I don't
Yes,
want to.
where do I see that? Where do I see display settings
At the top.
of the PowerPoint though? Oh, maybe I can do it.
Melissa, if I can suggest something,
Yes.
maybe the Zoom has got smaller and you are not able to open it again. You can log in or log out and log in again, and then you start from the beginning, sharing the screen exactly what we did in the practice.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, can you see now the deck?
Now it's working. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Sorry, everyone. This shows that I never worked at anywhere that required PowerPoints. Anyway.
That's why you're in fashion. So
Wow,
waited?
my worst nightmare, and somehow it happened. So you
Don't worry. Go ahead.
can see just the slide, right? Without the
Yes.
speaker notes. Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
So a big thank you for your patience, everyone, and staying on for that little technical difficulty. I did want to mention a bit about myself, but first I wanted to thank Eliana and Diana and Jessica and everyone involved in putting this together. It's completely my honor. And I guess now it goes without saying that I've never done this before, but I'm so excited to present tonight, especially for this audience, for this amazing organization. Should I stop my video? Does that help?
If you want to, yeah, you can just go ahead with the presentation.
Maybe that's better. Maybe that helps with the bandwidth, and I'll make sure to speak more slowly than I'm used to. Thanks everyone for adding in the chat where you're based. I'm based just north of Boston, but like we were saying, I'm from Miami. And when I was thinking about this presentation, before I actually had a topic in mind, it was super important to me to share something for the main focus of the presentation to be something that was important to me, that was authentic to me, not something I found online or found doing an internet search. And I wanted it to be something that's relatable to most Latinas. And the first one, and I think the best topic that came to mind, is how our daily style choices either open or close doors in life. When I think about the reasons we dress a certain way, it's really connected to opening doors or closing doors in life. And whether we're thinking about that or not, that's what's happening behind the scenes. And because Latinas continue to be underrepresented at the top levels of so many industries, even beyond tech, including law and finance and engineering, to name a few, it really gets me going when I think about ways that I can help other Latinas make the most of their day, make the most of their wardrobe, make the most of their shopping choices, because I know that we're being perceived a certain way, we're being categorized every day. And so I want to make it easier for women to convey what they're actually trying to convey when they dress up for work or when they put on a certain piece for a specific meeting, let's say. And so my mission here right now is to share some practical tips on how to make it into those upper levels by readily communicating that we're ready for them. Obviously, it's not the only ingredient. We need to have other things in our favor, but dressing a certain way, presenting ourselves a certain way can really help communicate that we should be in these roles that we're striving to be in. And we're always communicating, right, in nonverbal ways. We shouldn't think that the only thing people hear from us is what we're verbally saying. The way we show up in the world, you know, it can open up opportunities or it can get rid of opportunities for us. When I think of opening doors, I think of to a promotion or to a helping hand or a new connection, an invitation, an introduction, an expanded network. And when I think of closing doors, I think about closing the path to opportunities that get us to the life we want to live, to these possibilities that we'd readily welcome, right? So in sum, to growth. And that's just a metaphor that I have in mind when I'm thinking about creating opportunities or not allowing those opportunities to show up in our lives. So how do we make sure that we're signaling our openness to these new opportunities, to these new introductions? Well, the easiest way is to work with what we have, what we can control, and then mentally let go of what we don't control. So before we delve into any of that, and speaking of things that we can't control, one of those things is our background. My background is I'm Cuban American. I grew up in Miami in a family of political exiles, hearing every day that I wasn't filled out enough, that I needed to grow. I was very lucky that my grandmother could sew my Halloween costumes and take in my school's uniform skirt. All of that time spent altering my clothes and hearing how I was too small or not the right size led me to fall in love with fashion, with finding pieces that didn't make me look like I was swimming in fabric. So I grew up to be a typical frustrated petite shopper with limited means, right? I had student loans. I had siblings that I wanted to help out. I had to be a really careful shopper because I couldn't waste money on clothing that wasn't going to last long or wasn't going to be flattering. So just basically trained my eye and maybe even trained my hand to look for pieces, to look for fabrics that work well with my shape and my size. And after I left law school, I realized that wearing a suit every day was not only not recommendable, it's not what was going to help me out in any way. If you were wearing a suit, people were going to assume that you were off for a job interview, unless you had a court date. And at that first year level, I wasn't going to court. So I had to really think about what I was wearing all the time. And living in New York, you're constantly bombarded with all of this amazing fashion. And eventually, as I got older, I developed an environmental consciousness that made me shun fast fashion or cheaply made garments, right? I preferred to spend my money on pieces that I knew I could wear many times over in different ways. And shopping even today, that's something I always recommend. And I hear a lot of stylists recommend. When you're shopping for a new piece, as soon as you buy it or before you buy it, think about 3 different ways you're gonna wear it. That's how you extend your purchasing power. That's how you extend the versatility of your closet. So I preferred to do that, even if that meant having to spend more money taking those pieces to the tailor so that he could shrink them down to my size. Later, when I had kids and continued commuting to work, I was on a constant time deficit. I didn't have any extra minutes after work to go home, change, and then get together with friends or attend some colleagues going away drinks. Whatever I wore to work, I either had to change right away in the bathroom or I had to wear what I wore to work to go out after work. And I didn't see men doing that. Men were just taking off their tie and ready to go. So I founded Pirouette to address all of these problems because one thing we control every day is how we're dressed. When we think about things we control and things we don't control, we can separate those into external limits versus self-imposed limits. These are just my terms that I thought of when I was thinking about how to categorize some of these obstacles in our lives. So some of our external limits, right, are things that we really didn't have any choice in creating. We don't decide where we're born. We don't decide where we live, at least not when we're little. In many cases, we haven't controlled our education because we can't decide whether we grow up in a good school district or even whether we go to the college we want, most of us, wherever we got the biggest scholarship, that's where we're going to go to college. We don't decide the financial situation that we grow up in. We have physical limitations, right? My son, for example, is colorblind. There's nothing to change that. There's no medicine, there's no procedure. He will live his life colorblind. That's just how that works. Some people have medical limitations. These are all things that are around us and given to us, and we really are wasting our time if we overly focus on them, or if we set them up to be something that don't allow us to get to the next level or to the next job or to the next city or whatever it is that we want to achieve with our lives. Our self-imposed limitations are different, right? So we might look at our closet and say, oh, I can't do this because I haven't dressed for this in a while, so I don't know what I should wear, or I can't go here because I don't have the right dress, or I'm an introvert, so I'm not going to attend that party, or I'm not eating right, so I shouldn't bother exercising. There are certain things that we do control that we maybe need a certain amount of discipline or a certain amount of motivation or work with a coach to get over, but we're basically imposing them on ourselves instead of working to overcome them. And so when we think about some of these things we control, and that can actually be fun to work with, right? Some people have fun working out, some people have fun cooking and meal planning. I think, of course, of clothing because it's just an easy tool. It's a way that we can actually enjoy how we're going to look, affect how we're going to feel, and that helps us avoid getting distracted by those things that are outside of our control, like other people's biases, for example. On that point, I just want to take a little second here to be really honest, and it doesn't matter that it's 2021, right? We're always going to be surrounded at some point by people who maybe don't want to work with us or are going to make mistaken assumptions about us, right? Maybe they're going to make comments that belittle us or at least make us feel othered, especially in a group at work, right? They might not notice it. They might be doing it intentionally. We need to just understand, and I feel like I can say this at 43 years old, we need to just understand that it's a big world. We are bound to come across people who have certain biases against us, right? For me in college, it was often the way I sounded. It didn't matter what I was saying. The only thing anyone ever commented on was how I sounded. Everyone was always asking me, oh, where are you from? And Miami wasn't a good enough answer. Where are you really from? Or where are your parents from? And so you might want to drop in the chat other examples. I'm sure we can all bond over those moments where someone was assuming something about us and we had to correct them, or we had to overcome a certain person's prejudice. My sister, her first job out of college was at Johnson & Johnson, and she had to go to Mexico to train some of the engineers there, and then some of the engineers had to come to Miami to learn from her team, and they automatically assumed that my sister was there as the secretary to help take some coffee orders. She had to actually explain that, no, I'm here to train you. I'm the engineer here. And they didn't mean anything poorly. They just assumed that this person who is maybe shorter and darker than they are must be here to just serve us. And so we're bound to find those people wherever we are. And those people tend to take one look at us and place us in a little box. That said, setting that aside, we make it easier for others to overcome their prejudices when we visually communicate that we're qualified, that we belong in this space, that actually they're lucky to have us on their team. So you might have heard from your grandmothers or your moms. I know I always heard from my abuelita on my dad's side, como te ven, te tratan. Basically, the way they see you is how they treat you. Y si te ven mal, te maltratan. So if they see you in a way that isn't pleasing to them, they'll mistreat you. And the extension is, si te ven bien, te contratan. If they see you in a way that pleases them, then they hire you. That's not necessarily always the case, but it basically explains what a lot of us understand, right? We're always going to make a first impression. It takes all of 7 seconds, the science shows now, to form a first impression. Let's not waste those 7 seconds. you can create a positive filter, whether that's at work or when you're out socializing. You create that filter in more than one way, but the most obvious way is how you're dressed, right? If someone shows up at your house in a suit and tie, you're not going to assume that that's the plumber who you made an appointment for at noon. This guy must be here for another reason, right? So we're reading these cues, our brains are translating what they're seeing, and that's how humans have survived, right? We had to evolve in a way that helped us figure out this person is on my side or on the other side. What is this animal? Who is dangerous around me? And so we're either conveying a certain presence and instilling confidence in others, or we're not. And we might want to say, this is who I am because of how I'm dressed. That doesn't mean you have to dress really, really fancy every single day, but you want to be perceived, especially at work, as client facing. You want to be known as the person who can be sent to any meeting, can be brought along to any situation where you're going to be the face of the company, the face of the team, right? The power of perception is unquantifiable. And our attire, what we're wearing, becomes an extension of our own personal branding. We can choose to look like we have our life together, or we might look like we're a hot mess and in need of some adulting lessons, right? We all know that girl, pobrecita, she's super smart, but easily overwhelmed. Someone should, help her out and say, look, this is what you should wear to look more put together. And this is what you want to look like when you're on a Zoom call. And as a sidebar, we should just take note that we're always communicating, right? Your outfit speaks volumes before you've even uttered a word. It's not our job. It's not our new part-time to go around teaching folks that we're yet another version of what success looks like or sounds like, but it is a form of self-help and self-love when we look the part and we rise to the occasion. Maybe you're wearing jeans on your Zoom call, but at least from the waist up, you look like you could be at any meeting. You look like you could just go to the office dressed that way, right? So we can avoid placing more roadblocks in our path if we're helping others see us as we want to be seen. So we can convert that instinctive doubt into assured support. My friend Renee Lindo comes to mind. She's a stylist and she worked in the pharmaceutical industry for many years. And her coworkers would complain to her and say, oh, corporate America, it feels like it's all a game. And she would tell them, then play to win. And that's something that we can keep in mind, right? Now, in connection with how we're dressing to feel good and to assure others that we're in the right space, we're not suffering from any sort of imposter syndrome when we're getting ready in the morning, we also have to think that it's for ourselves as well. When you look good, you tend to feel good, at least better. This is what you might have heard also in your families, como te ves, te sientes, right? If you look good, you feel good. There's the power of the lipstick or the power of the new haircut. We're increasing our self-confidence. We're increasing our focus when we're not distracted by our yoga pants that are reminding us that, oh, I haven't worked out today, or I haven't worked out in a while. We're in a happier mood. We're having less stress basically when we're satisfied with what we're wearing. The scientific side of that is that we're cueing our brains to know that they're in work mode. So our brains actually read what we're wearing, so that our brains might say, oh, this is what I'm wearing. Oh, so I'm in date mode, or I'm in relaxation mode because I'm in my cozy sweats. So our minds are reading what we're wearing too. They're not just reading what other people are wearing. So we shouldn't waste the energy that our minds spend reading with having them translate, oh no, I'm in work mode, but it's work from home mode. Therefore, it's okay to be in sweats. So that's going to reduce productivity. It's distracting. Your brain is seeing that you're mailing it in clothes wise today. If I'm in sweats or joggers, it's going to think it's taking a day off too. So we don't want that combat to be going on between what we're wearing, what our brains are seeing, and what we're supposed to be doing with them that day, if it is a work day. And the reverse is true as well. Oops, sorry. The reverse is true as well. If we're wearing something that makes us feel like a rock star, then that gives our brains a bolt of energy. And we all have that one piece, right? That thing that we throw on and it shifts our mindset to a happier place. I have a few that I was thinking of when I was creating this next slide. You guys might have that one piece that you love wearing. You can maybe add it in the chat and we can read a few of your favorite pieces and see if we should go out and find them in our size. One of my favorites is my red Pirouette original dress. And I'm not wearing it in this picture. It's the red version of that same dress, but it's just a dress that makes me so happy. It's not a color I often wear, but my husband gave it to me for my 40th birthday. So it means a lot to me. Whenever I wear it, I pop the collar, it commands attention, it rakes in compliments. I'm convinced it even makes me look taller. And I don't need to add anything to it. I don't need to add a belt. I don't need to add a statement necklace. I just wear it and it's obvious that I'm getting things done today and I have places to go. Another one that I love is this black leather jacket by All Saints that I found in Boston after searching for years and years for a nice leather jacket that didn't have a lot of hardware. It's really minimalist. It's classic. I'll wear it probably into my 70s. My daughter will inherit it one day. And I just always feel so comfy and happy when I'm wearing it. And my third favorite go-to piece is this tan leather wrap belt I have that is one size fits all. It doesn't have any hardware, no buckle. If I'm bloated, it's not a big deal. I can wear it and it'll still look nice. I can adjust it. But I'd love to hear from you all in the chat if you want to drop in some of the pieces that you love or that you feel like everyone should have because they're really mood lifting or joy inducing. It's always so fun to see what other people recommend. Today I saw someone say, wear the red pants, and I posted it on stories for Pirouette. And she was saying, you wake up, you don't feel like you have that much energy that day, just look in your closet and grab those red pants or, grab that thing that you never wear when you're working from home. It really helps the mind just turn on and motivate, which we all need when we're working from home lately.
Yeah. Hey, Melissa, can I interrupt for just 1 minute and ask
Sure.
a question that we've got?
Yeah.
Because I think it kind of ties in pretty well with some of the conversation you're having or the presentation that you've done, which is working so well. It says, most of the time I seem younger than my real age and experience even in a black suit. What would you recommend in order to project an image of Superwoman manager? I mean, I think it kind of ties in with what you're saying on the red colors, but are there other maybe pieces or things that you have you can give advice on?
Yes, and I love this question because it's basically the story of my life. I always looked way too young. I was always being assumed, to be the babysitter or the nanny of my kids. And at work, it was a struggle. And I thought that's also why I had to wear suits. So one thing you can do, and we'll have some outfit formulas that we review at the end of the deck to give you guys some ideas. But if you're trying to maybe not so much appear older, right? It's not like you're trying to appear like you have wrinkles all of a sudden or gray hairs, where you're just trying to appear as more experienced, more authoritative, more sophisticated. So part of that is what you're wearing. Part of that is how you're communicating. There's body language involved with that. But when it comes to what you're wearing, you might want to just add a blazer to whatever you're wearing in the same color as your top, or a very neutral classic color like a black blazer or a navy blazer. It's always going to look more professional and more authoritative. You might look a bit older in that sense than if you threw on, for example, a cardigan or a shawl just to keep warmer. Just have a blazer behind your chair, whether it's at home or at the office, and having that blazer when you jump into meetings or when someone asks you to come over to their desk, it just does communicate that I'm here to get business done. I'm here as a boss. Heels is another option. Not many women right now are wearing heels or bothering with them. There's actually a whole movement to never wear them again, but that's another way to look authoritative. It actually changes the way you walk. It changes your posture. So even if it's just a block heel, which is pretty comfortable compared to a very thin heel, that's another way to command a certain amount of authoritative or boss level leadership. Those are the main two that come to mind. A few others might work differently depending on your body type. Wearing dresses, for example, instead of jeans, especially if you're surrounded by people in jeans, just wearing something that you would be okay with other people wearing if you were going into a meeting with them. Does that help answer some of that?
Yeah, absolutely. No, those are
and it's true what you're saying about black. Yeah, it's true what you're saying about black. Maybe you want to wear a different color instead of black. Maybe you don't want to wear a loud pink suit, but maybe you want to wear something that's not as dark. There's a style course I took where the woman was wearing everything exactly the same in both pictures, but she was wearing navy in one picture versus black in the other. And she just looked so much better for some reason in navy. It's like she was more approachable. Everyone was saying how she was probably in the same industries that they were assuming she was in from the first picture, but just by switching from black to navy makes a person feel just less somber. So that might be one of the colors that you consider instead of black. I wanted to address one of the other questions because of the tech industry, and I know how that can feel because when I switched from law to publishing, I work in media for a few years now, I was kind of shocked with how relaxed people showed up to work. Like some guys were even wearing cargo shorts at work, which I thought was really inappropriate. But yeah, you do want to balance the way you're presenting the best version of yourself without appearing overly formal. And like I was saying, if you do appear overly formal, then you get those annoying questions like, oh, are you interviewing? Oh, where are you going today? Like it's assumed that you must have something else going on. You didn't dress up like that for work. So it's really going to depend on your personality. Some people might just brush it off and say, oh no, this is what I had today. Like sometimes I would say, oh, this is the only thing I didn't have to iron today. But some other people might just feel comfortable saying, oh no, this is what I wear when I don't care about how I look, right? It's just the level of humor that you're going to add to it and that balance with maybe it's a more formal top with a more casual bottom. So a fitted blazer, a cropped blazer, but with jeans. We can go over some more formulas at the end. And for the person asking about pink and conventional feminine outfits, there is another company I know that's making pink and magenta and those types of colors in suits. I think it's called Argent. But if you're saying you're scared displaying this through your outfits, might make you look less serious or professional. How do you incorporate femininity in the workplace? From what I've heard from different women from different ages, different generations, is that is how they balance it. So it'll be maybe a very conservative suit or a very conservatively cut dress, but in a really feminine color or a really feminine print. So maybe they are wearing a traditional pantsuit similar to what maybe Kamala Harris would wear, but in a color scheme that is very clearly on the feminine side of town, right? So in the pinks and the oranges, maybe it's a mix. So the blazer is one color or the blazer is printed. That's another way you can incorporate pink and some colors, where a printed blazer or a printed top with a solid neutral bottom. So you're bringing your authentic self, you're bringing your love of color, you're bringing your love of femininity, but you're still feeling comfortable and not stared at by your colleagues because of your pants or your skirt. And then jewelry is the easiest way to bring femininity with your earrings, with your necklace, with your bracelet. You don't want to have loud bracelets, especially at work or even on Zoom, but a necklace, earrings that aren't going to make noise, but they're still going to be basically a statement piece. That's one of the easiest ways, I think, to bring in femininity and color. Thank you, everyone, for these amazing questions. Please keep them coming. I'll turn back to, well, you've seen my favorite go-to pieces. I hope some of you can add your favorite go-to pieces because I'd love to see what everyone else loves wearing and getting those ideas. Let me just go on to the next slide. One of the things we should keep in mind when we're shopping for these pieces that are going to do a lot for us, right? We want pieces that are multitasking as much as we are. I think of white tank tops as one of the most multitasking pieces, blue blazers, jeans. But one thing we want to keep in mind, again, I keep going back to what our grandmothers have been telling us for years, and that's que lo barato siempre sale caro. What good is it to buy a super cheap pair of shoes if you're going to have to replace them constantly, several times over and over the next few years, or having to constantly take them to get fixed, right? That's how the Japanese shop. That's how the French shop. They look at the quality, they turn it over 40 times to make sure that it's really well made because they want to buy it once and they're done. And we take care of the things that we spent more on. We take care of the things that we know we want to keep for a long time. And we don't really do that with our little throwaway Zara tops or H&M shirts, right? That get faded after 2 washes. So you get what you pay for in many cases. There are ways around that. I'll mention a few, but it is a good idea to keep that in mind, especially when shopping online, because photography, e-commerce photography doesn't yet allow you, even if you're zooming in, to see the texture. You're never going to be able to see online and understand how it feels when it's in your hand. That's a big reason why with Pirouette, I offer free shipping both ways, even though I've explained that I'm using the best fabrics from Italy and from France and the silk is from Korea. Until it's in your hand, you don't really understand. Oh, wow, I get now what she means by Italian cotton, or I get now what she means by this raw silk on the sleeves. And so if you're seeing that it has a very, very, very cheap price, that's indicating where it was made, who made it, was that underage labor? And that should be at least part of the equation that we consider when we're shopping for pieces that we want to wear for a long time. When we're thinking about price, whether it's at TJ Maxx or Marshall's or really fancy stores or online, think about price per wear. Like, for example, my All Saints jacket, I don't remember what I paid for it, but I remember that I was thinking, well, I'm going to wear it so many times that when you break it down to price per wear, it's very minimal. Same thing with a wedding dress. You might think, but I'm only going to wear it once, right? So why spend so much money on it? So when you think of that formula, that helps you figure out what to spend more money on. Choosing well instead of often is a way that we can shop more consciously. We're not constantly spending time and money and shipping, bringing stuff to our house. If we're just choosing well, we're getting that one really good lip gloss that's going to always feel good and look good, instead of getting 5 crappy ones, or getting tops that are going to tear once you've washed them twice, instead of that one really nice top that maybe you wash it on delicates and then hang it to dry so that it lasts longer. And then quality over quantity, like I was saying earlier with my daughter, what good is it to have a closet that's overflowing if it's just giving you analysis paralysis in the morning? There's too much choice. Most women wear only about 20% of what we have in our closets. So when we think about, do we need 15 pairs of jeans, or do we just need a few good pairs of jeans, right? So that should inform how we're shopping. And then again, to get around the prices, there are so many more options now. You can buy pre-used pieces or even unused, really nice pieces from the better brands at threadup.com, at The Real Real. There are a few other websites like that. You can tailor to your size. Maybe you found something amazing at the thrift shop. You shouldn't turn it down just because it's not your size. Maybe you can just take it to the tailor and get it tailored to your size. That's really, really worth it. Sometimes it's just taking it to the dry cleaner. You don't even have to go to a proper tailor. Sometimes it's just removing the sleeves to get the dress to work for you. You might have pieces that you can just change up and then keep that sweater or keep that top if you just change the neckline, for example, or get rid of the sleeves. So think about how you can wear in multiple ways the pieces that you already have in your closet. Maybe you just add a belt. Maybe you wear thick leggings under a maxi dress so that you can wear it during the fall. Maybe you work with a stylist or an image consultant, even if it's over Zoom or an online video session where the stylist looks at your closet and you try a few things on, and with that expert eye, you figure out what to keep and what not to keep. I offer with Pirouette a virtual call where I help you pick out pieces from the site based on availability, the inventory we have. Actually, I did this with Diana Moreno, and we figure out, okay, based on your lifestyle, based on where you work, based on the ones that you're going to wear most often, based on the sizes we have and the colors we have available, this is the dress for you. And so that saves a lot of time from just shopping endlessly online and maybe walking away without actually getting anything that maybe later you regret or you miss out on because it's so limited. A lot of these fashion startups like mine, we have very limited edition pieces. We can't afford to make hundreds and hundreds in every size for every style. So take advantage of those little messenger bots that you see on some websites like Lafleur or Pirouette or other sites where you have that guidance offered by someone who's at the company. I want to just take a second for the Q&A here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Melissa, I was actually going to turn to that. So just wanted to plug in these two really good questions that I think deal with some of the things you're talking about. the first, for tall women, the question is, I'm a tall woman. I've always been told to never wear heels, so I don't overawe my workers. Is that still a thing? What should I wear to not show intimidation to my boss or coworkers, but still show off my awesome Amazonian physique? And then I'll actually say the other question as well, because I think they just kind of go hand in hand. As a plus size non-binary person, it feels like the professional clothing is meant to be skin tight to fit my curves. This isn't the most comfortable for my body, like doing the sit down test or feeling restrained. I'm also not into spandex because they don't feel too good. 100% agree with that. Do you have any tips on professional clothing that fits a larger body, that doesn't feel like it's sexualizing? I identify as Latin, and I don't want to give off a feminine, sexy Latina vibe with my clothing choices.
Yeah, I guess I'll take these in the order that you mentioned them. The first one, having the amazing Amazonian physique. And I think it really depends on what you're comfortable with. I know if I had an amazing Amazonian physique, I wouldn't be hiding it from anyone. And I don't care if I'm overawing my coworkers. They can stare if they like, or they can like look away if it's too much. But I think it depends also where you work. So it is still a thing in certain places to not wear heels if you're very tall as a woman. But where does that come from? And do we still want to perpetuate that? That comes from women being told that they're always on the market, that they're always here to satisfy the male gaze. And that's why women were conditioned for so long, and in some places still are, that if you're dating someone, that person has to be taller than you. Now, plenty of women, thank God, have been unbrainwashed or were never brainwashed in the first place, and they don't care about that. It's my sincere hope that younger generations, because I know mine, it might be too late, but that younger generations aren't basing their heel height or their shoe choice based on what their coworkers are going to perceive in terms of intimidation, right? Of course, in an ideal world, it's going to be only about your work product. Of course, you care how you look at work. So much of that depends on your specific office or your specific team. But if you're okay with other people being initially intimidated, then go ahead and wear your heels if you like them. You might discover that it was just a one-time thing, something that they got used to eventually. Yes, the Amazonian in the office likes to wear heels. Who cares? I can only see it as something that favors you. I wish for even a minute in my life I could tower over anyone with or without heels. So it's really your choice. But I think you might at least try it. Go ahead and wear your heels. Wear whatever you like that is still professional in the office, that's going to help you be perceived in the right way, and see if that's something that people just get used to, that you're wearing your heels. Maybe you're wearing your heels some days and your flats another day. That would actually be healthier for your foot to not always wear the same height. I hope that helps answer your question, and I hope you're not embarrassed or shrinking yourself in any way just because you're on the taller side of town. Switching to the next question about, you were saying not wanting to wear overly tight, sexy clothes.
Exactly. Yep.
Right. There are different tricks for that. I have a somewhat curvy situation, you can call it, because I grew up on rice and beans, I guess, and I'm Cuban, and that's just the way most of our bodies are. So I've had to also deal with that. And so sometimes what I'll do is buy a larger size, and my cousins do this too, where we'll buy a larger size and then get the top tailored, but that way the bottom isn't tight. Because if we think that these sizes out there are standard, we're buying into this myth. Okay, it's not that way. It's never been that way, right? So a size 2 in one brand could be a size 4 in another brand, and could be a size 6 in a third brand. So you have to look for the labels or the brands that are making their pieces in a way that fit better for you. Maybe you shop on the petite side instead of the regular side, or you shop on the regular side and take in the hem. So you might want to experiment with different brands. A lot of brands have free two-way shipping, especially the larger stores. Pirouette does, for example. And maybe you're buying petite, but what would be considered a plus size. So there are brands that carry 16 petite or 14 petite, and that might be a better way to find your size. Another great way is to wear A-line. So like the model in this picture, she's wearing an A-line skirt. The top is more fitted, and she could wear a belt and it would look even more fitted, but the skirt is an A-line design, so it's going to fall in a way that's never curve, hugging, or too tight. So that's another idea. Wear longer flowy skirts, or skirts that maybe go up to your knee, but they're cut in a way that are just more flowy. You'll see some now in the outfit formulas. And then that way you can play with different shapes and tops versus bottoms. I'm reading one: in regards to dresses and skirts, how many centimeters or inches above the knee are okay to look professional? Again, that depends where you work, right? So in Miami, there are ways that you could get away with that in New York would not fly, and in Boston would definitely not fly. What you want to check is when you sit down. When you sit down, is it going too far up? Is it like 2 inches above your knee? What are you comfortable with? There's not a law out there or a rule that says if it's 2 inches, it's too much, but you're probably going to feel uncomfortable if when you sit down at a meeting or even at your desk or even at your cubicle, you have maybe what you consider to be a lot of leg showing. I know I would be super uncomfortable and I would be freezing, but if it's more than an inch or two, then it might be too much to look professional. And so that's something to take into consideration when you're shopping for dresses. In terms of the other question for plus size and short and large bust, if you're short, then look at those petites. Look at the brands that are offering petite for larger sizes. So like Pirouette, we have 14 petite, we have 16 petite. I know there are brands that have 18 petite. MM Lafleur, I think, has at least, I think, 18 petite. So there are different ways that you can find brands that are offering larger sizes for shorter women. When it comes to large bust, there you do have to try it on. And sometimes you'll just want to work around that. Like, I know some women who wear this dress and another version of it where the buttons are slightly open on top, but then they have a black cami under. So you're still creating that very flattering V shape. You're still looking very professional, but you don't have those buttons that are struggling to stay closed because you've purposefully left them open and then created this camisole look under. That's another way to wear some of the dresses that might feel tight on top, but look fabulous everywhere else. I think you might have mentioned one more question. Oh, I love Torrid. I'm just looking at some of the questions here. I think someone mentioned not having to conform to the white male ideal of what's professional at work. I think I saw a question, I can't find it right now, about that. And
I think that's a great question to ask.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's something we struggle with a lot in certain places and don't struggle a lot in other places, right? Depending on where you live. It's a huge country. There's a lot of geographic diversity, right? We can't assume that what looks or feels good in Wisconsin is going to look or feel good in Tampa. But if you yourself, and I think that's where it should start, right? Before we think about what our boss is going to say, before we think about what our colleagues are going to say, if you yourself feel comfortable wearing a certain suit or a certain outfit to work, but you feel uncomfortable because of how people are treating you, consider whether it's just something that they're getting used to, right? When I switched to media, I was wearing the clothes that I would wear at law firms. And eventually I myself got used to wearing a Ramones t-shirt with a blazer and jeans because it was okay since everyone around me was also very casual. You might want to experiment that way. And you might want to say, well, how can I bring part of myself or part of my preference into this outfit without obliterating all of it? So maybe you're comfortable with just one pop of color instead of everything head to toe being one loud collage of a bunch of bright colors, right? It's going to really depend on your comfort level and experimenting. You wore one outfit to work, you didn't like it. Okay, it's a new day, right? Just try something else the next day. And now that we're working from home, it's actually a really good opportunity to start wearing some of those outfits that we're not sure we would want to wear to work because we're just wearing them at home and we're at our computers. We're still in the mindset of the workday. And we're looking in the mirror and we can figure out after wearing that outfit for a few days, is this something I'd wear into the office? So it's a really good time to experiment with different shapes and different colors that we haven't normally worn if we're working from home. I love all these questions, you guys. Another question is, I'm tall, hourglass body and skinny, but I have scoliosis and prefer not using heels. I hurt my back. Please, what kind of shoes do you recommend that look professional in the US and are comfortable? So very recently, I learned about a company also started by, I think it's an African-American woman in New York. It's called, no, that's not true. She's an Asian American woman, called Ally, A-L-L-Y. And she started her shoe company because she wanted to engineer a shoe that could have different heel heights and still be comfortable. So it's not just the insole, it's literally the way the shoe was constructed and designed. If you look up Ali shoes, you'll probably find different heel heights and different versions of nude that might be comfortable. And someone's recommending Naturalizer. I've seen that most shoes could be made comfortable by adding even a simple Dr. Scholl's insole, like the thicker padding. And there's another company called, I think it's Insolia, and they also create this gel padding that you insert even into stilettos. And what that does is it shifts your weight so that your weight is then more on your heel instead of on the ball of your foot, because that's really what's causing the pain when all of our weight is being placed on the ball of our foot near our toes instead of on the heels. So check Insolia. I think that's the name. If not, I'll find out the link and share it. And experiment with Dr. Scholl's pads. Sometimes just inserting those in your boots or in your heels makes the shoes super, super comfortable. Someone's asking, where do you recommend one start? I dressed business casual in the office, but I've worked from home for 2 years and I need a clothing refresher and I don't like shopping or know anything about brands. Definitely checking your site. Thank you for checking Pirouette's site. I definitely recommend starting with Pirouette because of our extremely inclusive size range, but also because of the comfort level of the pieces and the ability to try things on at home and ship them back without any cost, but also because they were made in New York City in the garment district. You're not going to find a better level of clothing manufacturing. Another place to start is Pinterest. Pinterest is your friend. Everyone on this video call or on this Zoom right now should jump onto Pinterest, create a board. If you don't already have one, that's called maybe work from home or work from the office or workwear or my style. And you'll be able to pull in different images that resonate with you, that your eye is automatically attracted to. And it's a way to train your eye to figure out, this is me, this is my personality as expressed in clothing. You might even find something that you end up getting made. It's really easy to do that. Please let me know if you have any questions about that, because I've had to do that so many times. But if you go onto Pinterest, you'll find some of these ideas that you could then pull together. And if you need any stylist recommendations, even people who can just help you for an hour or so, that's always a really good place to start, especially when you feel that you need a college refresh, a closet refresh, or you need any sort of positive, let's say peer pressure to get rid of some of these things that aren't bringing you joy anymore, or you're maybe never going to wear again. It's always good to work with a stylist who's really experienced in that world. I am not that, I'm learning from them, but I've seen the transformations that they've helped other women achieve just with a few hours of working together.
Yeah, thank you so much, Melissa. I know we're coming up on the hour, so I didn't know, I wanted to give you a few minutes if you wanted to close out with any final remarks. Your advice has been super helpful thus far.
Thank you. I did want to quickly share just some ideas of outfit formulas. These will help, I think, with some of the questions that everyone was answering. Sometimes you don't want to overthink it. You just want to have a formula that you go into your closet and you put together, kind of like a puzzle. I'm looking for a red piece, a black piece, and a yellow piece. So if you're looking for dark pants, a light top, and a light blazer, that's a really cool, comfy look to put together. It might not even require any shopping. You're seeing here 2 options with jeans. You can imagine this with any sort of pants or with a skirt. I won't spend too much time on these, but just to give you some ideas, a monochrome look is really professional. That's another great way to start, regardless of your shape, of your size, whether you're going to add a belt or not. If you pick the same color and wear that top to bottom, it has a really lengthening effect. And even if it's just within the same shades of that color, not the exact same color, as you can see with Miss Markle in the middle, that also has a really pulled together professional look. You don't have to even wear a blazer or a belt. You're just wearing the same color over and over, and it looks really pulled together, and it really shows that you put effort into your outfit. Another quick formula you might try is a patterned or textured top and a solid color bottom with a solid belt. if you have a one size fits all leather belt, for example, if you just wrap that around, it really pulls together a look where the top might be busy and the bottom is your anchor. The bottom is the solid color. And then you could do the reverse, right? If you flip that, you can have a solid color top and a patterned bottom. And again, anchor that with a belt that doesn't have any hardware, no metal on it, no buckles. Maybe it's a wrap, maybe it's a snap belt where you can just connect the top and the bottom and the eye is reading this and it looks, again, really pulled together. And it would look fine without the belt, but the belt gives it that extra notion of style and effort. Another formula is just to wear neutrals with the pop of color. Some people are really comfortable wearing a bright color. You can see here on the left with the neutral top and the neutral bag and shoes, it's still a focal point without overwhelming the look. And on the right, she's a neutral, but she has a pop of color with her bag. And that's it's an easy way to add some color if you're not used to wearing color. If you introduce it into your life little by little, maybe with your bag or with your shoes or even with your lipstick. Some people feel like they want to wear more color, but they don't know how to wear more color. So that's one way to integrate it. Pick any neutral you want. You can imagine these outfits with grays, with other shades of beige or white, they would still work with any pop of color. That's one of the lessons that Isaac Mizrahi always teaches everyone. And then this is my favorite formula. You grab a shirt dress, it doesn't matter where it's from, although it would be better, I think, if it's from Pirouette, but you grab a shirt dress, you add a belt, you're done. It's a cinched in look, it creates symmetry, it's super flattering regardless of shape or size or height, whether you're hourglass, whether you're pretty even on top and on bottom, you add a belt to a shirt dress and you've got your look. Then you can decide if you want to play with your jewelry or with your shoes, whether you're wearing flats or heels or sandals. It's just going to look really nice. And then you can figure out what sort of neckline you want. So that's actually my favorite. But I do want to close with saying that if anybody wants to spend a few minutes just talking on the phone or doing a quick Zoom, I'm happy to do that for everyone on the call. We can book some time. This is my Calendly link and I'll apply the 10% discount, of course, even though we'll be talking on the phone. That's not something that I do when there's a virtual style session. But if you do want to shop off the site, if it's your first time ever, you can do that and the discount will apply. But sometimes you just need someone giving you a bit more information or you don't want to waste too much time searching for your size. I can quickly do that for you over the phone. And big thank you to everyone for letting me share this time and letting me share a bit about my brand and why I started it and why I'm so eager to get our dresses in the hands of more and more Latinas.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much, Melissa. Really appreciate it. Thought it was such a great presentation and just came away with all of these great ideas and tips and things to think about for fashion. So I know we're 5 minutes over, but not too bad, not too bad. So I definitely want to thank everyone so much for coming. And just a reminder, to follow Latinas in Tech DC chapter. We are on all social media platforms, to follow Melissa and all of her social media platforms. Just a quick reminder that this is a recording and it will be available on our Latinas in Tech website. And lastly, we have our summit, Latinas in Tech Summit 2021, which tickets are available now for this tech summit with an early bird discount. So with that, we want to thank you so much. And yeah, really appreciate everyone coming out.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. Do I need to stay on or anything?
No, I'm just going to end it right here. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.